I was delighted to accept Sunny's invitation to come and talk to you about table topics, some tips, some tactics, some strategies you may choose to consider. These are suggestions. It's for you to decide what value it has for yourself. If you want to work with it, please go ahead. If you find some of that information not appropriate, or if you want to discard all of it, that's okay too. So I don't want to impress you, but impress upon you the importance of getting the qualities that are important, that are going to make the most of you in your lives going forward. Is that okay? Yeah. Let me ask each and every one of you a question. Are you letting the fear of the thorn deny you the smell of the rose? Are you letting the fear of being bowled out, struck out, even knocked out, holding you back from playing the game and tasting victory? Now, the mind, ladies and gentlemen, is a wonderful thing. It starts working from the day you were born and never stops, except when you are asked to give a table topics. But why is that? Why is that? After all, every single day, fellow Toastmasters, we are asked to give an impromptu, off-the-cuff response. Think about it. Someone asks you for your opinion, and we give it. Someone asks you for your advice, and we give it. Somebody asks you a question, and we respond. Aren't these impromptu, off-the-cuff speeches? Well, we do it all of the time. Now, table topics, I'm going to encourage you, is a powerful tool. It helps us individually to hone the skills that we need to be able to make compelling, engaging, and focused responses. For the club, it gives guests and new members the opportunity who are not taking part in the leadership of a meeting to find their voice, to feel part of the club. And Toastmasters International have said that there's a 100% chance that a new member will want to come again and that a guest will want to join. Some pretty good reasons to think about table topics. But why is it so many of us, when it comes to table topics, we choose, just like so many, to wait for the storm clouds to pass? My mission for you, at the end of my speech, is to encourage you to love dancing in the rain. Are we all ready to get your feet wet? So let's get started. For me, there are 3 areas for you to consider. The first is the mindset. The second is the physiology, how your body feels and sends signals back to the mind. And the last, but not least, is start right. Let's talk about the first one, shall we? Mindset. My mindset is to say, I am the one. It's me. If it's going to be, it's up to me. I sit and I stare at the table topics master. I sit square and face the topics master. When they are giving the outline, the context, I listen to it. And when they ask the particular question, I automatically imagine that if it was me, what would I think about? What would I say? And that way I'm practicing the ability to have a thought. And if I don't hear my name, that's okay. Because I'm still the one. I'm still the one. So when the next table topic comes up, I'm listening. And they say, and I want you to talk about Napoli. Because I knew I was the one, a thought comes to my mind, and I get up, and I'll go on about the physiology in a second. So, the right mindset. Physiology, what does that mean? It's how does the body feel, and what does it tell the body, the mind? Let me give you an example. If you've got an icy, cold stream, you can see cracks of ice in it, and you pop your toe in the water, and it feels so cold. Do you think your mind's going to say, oh, well, let's go in and dive in? No, no, no. It's going to say, not ever. Well, physiology is how do you get your body to tell the mind it's okay. Something good is coming. Now, one of the things is breathing. A technique you might want to try is the 3-4-5 technique. Breathe in, take 3 seconds. Hold the breath for 4 seconds. And then breathe out for 5 seconds. When the brain has a relaxation, it says, I've got time to breathe out. I can take my breath in, but imagine when you're under stress, doesn't the breath get very short? It's a way of actually saying to the brain, if I can take more time breathing out, everything is okay. Would you not agree? The other is to make sure that you are square on, making eye contact with the table topics master, and that you are prepared, so you've got no anxiety coming through. How many of us get butterflies? What we need to do is to change our response. I used to get butterflies, I had them just there, sat down. But I say to myself, oh good, something good is going to happen. I'm going to learn something from this. And do you know the moment I tell myself that, the butterflies just go. They don't tend to accumulate. More don't come. You see, misery loves company. And if you start getting upset and anxious, it's just going to feed it. So when the next time you get butterflies, my recommendation is to say to yourself, oh good, something good is going to happen. I'm going to learn something from this experience. So we've been able to breathe. We've got ourselves ready. Now, what I want you to do when your name is called, to think, is to smile. When you smile, your mind is having happy thoughts. When you smile and you start coming up to the front, the audience thinks, you're going to be, this person's looking forward to saying something. It's going to be exciting. When you get up, my recommendation is to stride. Place every foot and feel it. When you are sure-footed, doesn't that pervade confidence? Certainly does to the audience. And your mind is going to feel that. But if you were to bring up a bit sort of anxious and worried, how do you think the mind's going to feel? So when I come, you find boxers when they are approaching a fight, they're comfortable, they're good, they're coming to the front. And I would suggest you do the same. When you get the table topics master, have your hand out first. It's something you're looking forward to. It's saying to the mind, I'm looking forward to this. So as soon as you approach the stage, you'll see me with my hand. And I take that hand and I give it a good shake. And then you turn to the audience and take a moment. Look. Maybe do the 3-4-5 technique. People are saying, when's it going to start? Isn't it better to have an anxious audience than one saying, when's it going to stop? So take your time. And then, just like an athlete, when they start a race and they hear the gun, does the athlete start slow and say, take my time, I'm just going to catch the other guys up in a minute? No, no, no. an athlete, ready, hungry, and out at a pace. So my last point, how you start is critical. Pay attention to how you start. Now here's what I would recommend you do. When you say, Mr. Table Topics Master, don't look over there because they're there. Make it meaningful. Mr. Table Topics Master or Madam Table Topics Master. Then greet and use animation, because what we want to do is get the blood circulating. I noticed one speaker here that he had his hands at the back, and what it said, get a grip of yourself, you're going to make a fool of yourself. Imagine what the brain is telling that person. This is the chance for you to own the stage. This is the chance, this is a safe environment. Each and every one of us has magic in us, but we've been told to act our age. Don't be so childish. Restrain yourself, get a grip of yourself. But I would suggest, if you want to, and one of the guests here said, I want to start because I finish really high, but I don't start high. That's why it's important to get a great start. So, here's one suggestion. You turn your torso when you're making eye contact. So here it is. Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and of course, welcome guests. You're doing this because it's how the brain feels about what you feel like when you're here on the stage. Is everybody happy with that so far? Okay. Let's have a look at some of the techniques that we can use. When you start, often a good idea is use a quotation or a question. When you use a quotation, it provokes thought. When you ask a question, there are two types of questions. There's a rhetoric question, which doesn't require an answer. It could start like this. Have you ever thought about, but never did it? You may choose to ask a direct question. Think about money and how much you want, and have a figure in your mind. I guess you've all got millions, haven't you, in your mind? I have. But that's a direct question, and you're looking for someone to come with an answer in their mind. So experienced speakers will do that. But if you're beginning, just look at the salutation. Now, what you want to do then is make some deliberate body language. And typically, remember, table topics is 2 minutes, isn't it? So you may start with the salutation. You can repeat the question. It reinforces you. If ever you're given a slip of paper, if ever you're given a prop, take it and then put it down. The temptation is to carry on reading it if you hold it in your hands, isn't it? Isn't the comfort, it becomes a prop, almost a distraction? My recommendation, get the table topic, put it down. Get the fluffy toy, put it down. You've got the thought. You're okay, you're going to be fine. Now, some techniques of how you could go about doing your table topics. Would you like to hear some?
Yeah.
The first, it begins like this. On the one hand, I could say this. On the other hand, I could say this. Generally speaking, most people would take this particular view. Speaking for myself, I feel this. In conclusion, so there is a structure. You may want to write this down, you may not. But it is about, on the one hand, on the other hand, generally speaking, speaking for myself, and in conclusion. Now, anybody got a table topic, and I can try and give an example of how that might be used. Anybody got a subject? Difficult, hard, easy, it doesn't matter.
How would you survive if you went to the moon?
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. On the one hand, I would have to ask myself, or many people ask themselves the question of, why would they go to the moon? On the other hand, there are a greater number of people who would say, why not? Generally speaking, most people would feel that is outside of their financial ability and therefore is just a dream. Speaking for myself, I have booked with Richard Branson in 2035, and God, I hope I live that long, a flight to the moon. And I hope they've worked it out by then. So in conclusion, going to the moon is not for everyone, but for quite a few. But it's out of many people's reach. But for me, I'm saving up for it and I'm looking forward to it. Mr. Table Topics Master. So here is a way for you to have a structure. On the one hand, on the other hand, generally speaking, speaking for myself, in conclusion. Technique number 1. Technique number 2. The past, the present, and the future. Anybody got another topic? And let's see how we might be able to use that.
What's your favourite dinosaur?
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and very welcome guests. In the past, it's a fact that dinosaurs existed. They ruled the world, we are told. And some meteorite hit the Earth and then became extinct. Today, there are a few species that have a link, a closer link to dinosaurs. And some say have a look about them that could be dinosaurs. In the future, based on movies like Jurassic World, it's possible that we could recreate them and have our own favourite dinosaurs. For me, the film Jurassic Park has highlighted the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Mr. Table Topics Master. So you can use the past, in the past, today, and in the future. So any subject that can come, you can consider that as a strategy. Number 3, someone has given you a table topic and your mind goes blank and you don't know how to approach this. So you come up to the front. Remember, the physiology saying, I'm the one. This is me. Where's the fight? I'm ready to go. And you've started off. And someone has said to you, I want you to talk about oranges. And you think, I've got an allergy for oranges. Even though just the word oranges gets me to come up. So I can't say oranges too often. So you say, Mr. Tate, but you've got to look at a transition. You can't just say, I'm not going to talk about that, I'm going to talk about this, because that's a bit conceited. Would you not say? So here's what you might say. It's a transition, isn't it? You say. Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and of course very welcome guests. I've been asked to talk about oranges, but I honestly have an aversion to them. But I love peppermint. Let me tell you about peppermint. It's not as strong as mint. And my wife tells me that I ought to have peppermint shoes. The number of times I'm dropping my mouth, my foot in my mouth. Peppermint is the flavour. Peppermint is the medicinal. Peppermint is something we should all enjoy. Mr. Table Topics Master. So you can switch it, but look at making a transition. The last one, I've seen the first card, but there are many, is the ability to make it up. It doesn't have to be true. Nobody knows. Think about a story that you heard, a story that you read, something that you imagined. So anybody got a topic and I can try and make it up, even if I don't know it. Anybody got a topic? Anything?
The greatest love story.
Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. The greatest love story. I'm no good at it. I have been married 3 times. The first time I was married a week. It took me 5 years to get out of that marriage. The second time, a dear old lady, a matchmaker, put me in touch with a not so dear young lady. And it took me 3 years and £75,000 to get out of that. Happily, I have finally found my 3rd wife. I can't afford to do anything about that. A romantic, I am not. A novel, I have never read. For my wife, it is just enough that I occasionally bought a suggestion that we had a box of chocolates, a bunch of flowers, or a kind thought. So, a romantic novel, there isn't one in me. Madam Table Topics, mistress. So, make it up. It doesn't have to be true. So there you have it. A number of techniques. Get your mindset. Program your physiology. Start strong. You set yourself up in the best possible way. Look at the techniques. I was talking to a guest earlier on. Table Topics is your chance to find the magic in you. This is the place. Now is the time to turn the volume up. It's a safe and supportive environment.